Well, I thought this week I would show you how to make a cute little nightgown for the doll in your dollhouse to have laid out on her bed, ready for her to put on. Stay tuned and see how quick and easy this is to make. Alright, so we are going to start by looking at what we're using. Excuse me. This is a piece of basically it would be considered an eyelet trim at the fabric store. It was over with the laces. Look for a lace or an eyelet trim that is not finished or not gathered at the top, a flat trim of some kind, that has a pretty edge on the bottom, not too huge of a design, and something that's at least 2.5 to 3 inches long. And we need about 4 inches this way. We aren't actually going to put this on a doll, so the size doesn't have to be exact. This project is designed just to lay on the bed, lay on a chair, something like that, or in a little store. And this, I think, cost me about 50 cents, and that was without any coupons or anything. So it's an inexpensive piece, and then I've got some ribbon we're going to glue on here in a little bit. So this is 4 inches this way, and this one I measured a little while ago. I've already forgotten. I think it was like 2 3/4 of an inch long, to give you an idea. So I am going to put a craft stick inside because I don't want to glue this shut. And we are just going to very carefully run a bead of glue here. And this is a new glue. This is not a fabric glue. We don't need to use a special fabric glue for this, since it's not a project we're going to actually, like I said, we're not putting it on the doll. We're only, come on. Oh, come on. Why does the glue always fight with me? There we go. When I get the camera on. This is not going to show, it's going to be on the back side, so there. Now I need to let that dry. This glue I'm using, I've been playing with this lately. It's an Elmer Craft Bond Quick Dry Glue. It works pretty well for most things that you would use just a white glue for. It was, I don't remember how much I paid for this, but I got this like at my grocery store. So it's an easy to get glue. So I'm going to let this dry. When this is dry, I'll come back and we will go to the next step. Alright, so our glue is fairly dry. It's not completely dry, but it's getting there. So we are going to now add some straps. And what I just have some narrow ribbon. This one happens to have this little edging on it, which I think is really, really pretty. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. This is really pretty for things like this. I watch for these little spools of ribbon. These are the spools, you buy the whole spool. It's got 6 yards on it. It's 3/16 of an inch wide. I wait for these to come on at about 50 cents a roll, and I stock up on them then. I have a whole one of those plastic shoe boxes. So now we need to put a little drip. I'm going to put my glue out on my tray. This way I don't get too much glue. I'm going to take that and I'm going to glue it not too far down. I don't want this to show too much. And I'm actually going to put another piece of this around the top when this dries. So kind of center it there. And I don't know if I mentioned, these little pieces are 1.5 inches long. Again, since they don't have to fit a doll. That's too far down. The glue. It is so hot, the glue is getting really sticky on my fingers and not sticking to the fabric. Come on. Okay. A little more glue. There we go. Come on. Just stay. There. I'm going to let this part dry. I'm actually going to do the back of these off camera. When I come back, I'll have both ends of the ribbon glued on and we'll add the top trim. This will need to dry for a little bit before I glue it to the back though. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so I ended up having to clamp the front and I clamped the backs too. So if I can get this off without having it pull up. There. And if you're wondering why I'm not doing a lot of stuff on camera, it's because it's pushing 90 in my craft room without the lights on. So I apologize if I'm not being as thorough as normal, but it's just too hot. Now we're going to add a trim around the top, and I'll show part of this on camera with the lights on, and then I'm going to turn the lights off and do the rest off camera, and I hope you guys won't mind too much. But it's just too hot to be under these lights for more than a couple of minutes. Come on, come on. But for this, I'm going to run a bead of glue around. And yeah, this will be a little stiff, but again, it's just a display piece. It's not an actual clothing piece. So we're going to run a bead of glue. I think you get the idea. And then clamp it. Use some clamps. And I love these little hair clips, and I actually got these at Dollar Tree. They're perfect when you've got a really small area and you need to get a pointy clamp in there. So I will glue this around. I'll let the glue dry, and when that's all done, I'll come back and we'll look at this done and I'll show you how to display it. All right, we're ready to move on here. And I want to point out that it is now 90 degrees on my work table, and that was before I turned the lights on. So we're going to move quickly here. All right, so my glue is dry. I'm going to cut off the excess ribbon. And now we need to display this. So you could lay this on a chair, you could lay it on a bed. I have the bed that we made a while back. Oops, we've got a thread there. So I want to have this kind of bending over. So the first thing I want to do is put some plastic wrap on the bed. I want to protect the bed that this is going to lay on top of. Sometimes you need some pins. I'm hoping I don't need them because I didn't bring them. Oops, I think I had that. I'm going to spray this with water and just let it sit. And it should lay fairly well. This may poof up a bit because of the glue. Make sure that you don't use a school glue, which is water soluble, because then your glue will come apart, but this is not. And then this just needs to dry. So when this is dry, I will be back. I think I'm going to lay this on top just as a little weight. There. So I'm going to let this dry, which in this heat shouldn't take very long, and then I'll be back and we'll look at the finished nightgown. Alright, so the heat has done its job and dried the fabric. It doesn't have as good of a memory as it would if I used some spray starch on it, but for today's demonstration I think it's looking pretty good. If your fabric doesn't want to lay down, what you can do is put the plastic on your furniture, spray this with some spray starch, and then use some sewing pins to hold it down until it dries. That will help a lot. So I hope you enjoyed today's project. Be sure and check the blog post for some better photos. If you haven't found the Facebook page, the link for that is always in the description box. I encourage you to come join us over there, join the discussion. Usually I put up a sneak peek photo of the project for the week, and it's usually the fastest way to get a hold of me. So have fun with your minis. Remember to send me pictures if you make something, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.